little bit closer. All I wanna know is, can you come a little closer?
Let's get closer to Tegan and Sara right now. Terry Hart.
Hello.
Good to see you.
I love those two. I love that song. I love what they've done for music in this country. I love what they've done for representation. And I love that they're digging deep for a new memoir called High School. It covers their high school years. So it isn't like a full memoir of their full lives. It is squarely those 4.5 years that they spent in high school in Calgary. They alternate chapters. So the first chapter is Tegan, second chapter is Sara, vice versa, vice versa, vice versa.
So this is about a book. I thought it was new music.
It's
okay,
about
this
that
is great.
too. But let's start with the book. And I talked to them about how really kind of deep they got to tell this story of themselves in high school in Calgary.
I had such a difficult time with my adolescence, specifically around my sexuality, but also around, you know, a sort of self-loathing, insecurity, this idea of like, what will I be in the future? Who will I be in the future? And I read a lot of Tegan's first chapters, and she just seemed like she was really easygoing and like having a great time, and I was like, it's very confusing.
To be fair, my first chapter that I wrote for the book was Tegan didn't go to school today, which is about finding the guitar. I mean, I didn't jump into like, you know.
You didn't jump into the dark stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Did you jump into the dark stuff in the book? Give us the scoop. Is that? I'm joking. Right?
Yeah, I like that question. I'm going with that question.
Are you doing the interview? Which one of you is doing the interview? Which one of you is in my band, and which one of you is doing the interview?
I'm not dressed cool enough to be in the band.
Not true.
You look great. I like your blue, the matching hair.
They're so cute. They give you the thumbs up. Yeah, you look good. You're good.
You're all right. I don't look like a rock star. They look like rock stars.
No, but I think it's so cool that they did that.
It's very cool, and they have all these quotes on the book from people like Ellen Page, Jan Arden, Dan Levy, people who are supporting them in telling this story. And one of the quotes Ellen Page wrote was, "I wish I had this book in high school." And that kind of sums up why they wanted to write the book, why they wanted people to see that their journey is just like anybody else's, even though it ended up in a different place. Here's what they told me about that.
I think women in music and queer people and outsiders and fringe kind of alternative people don't get to tell their story very often, and we saw this as an opportunity to give voice to a story that feels really original, but also we believed in our hearts was really relatable. You and I don't have to have grown up the same way, but we likely both went through adolescence and went to school, high school, and struggled through, you know, puberty and figuring out who you are and who you're going to be. And our audience is very diverse, and they come to us with a lot of really emotional, really thoughtful stories about their own lives and why they relate to us. And I think Sara and I felt like that was why it was okay to share our stories, because I think they get us and they could accept that story, and I hope they find comfort in hearing our story.
It's not easy to share, but it's so rewarding when you do.
Absolutely. And so what's so cool is they set out to write this memoir, High School, and when their research, they dug deep and they found some old recordings. They've turned those old recordings into an album. They're all songs that they wrote when they were like 15 or 16 years old. They've re-recorded them so they have, like, you know, a slicker sound to them. But the album is called Hey, I'm Just Like You, which ties into the whole theme and the reason. But it's amazing that all the songs were written over 20 years ago. And here's what they said about that.
I think the narrative I had bought into was this idea that we were this young, you know, duo who were figuring out how to write songs, and we got a record deal, but anyway, it took 20 years, and now we're this band. That's sort of how I had sort of told our story. But listening to the original songs, that vulnerability and the craft, like, it's still very Tegan and Sara. Like, listening to the songs, I kind of laughed at how many of the lyrics and the kind of melody ideas were there first. If anything, I feel like we've been ripping off early Tegan and Sara, and I didn't even know because I hadn't listened to the music in so long, and I'm like, wow. There's just things that we just had forgotten about. Like, most people had just shoved into the closet. It's like, oh, you're teenagers, you're not very good. And listening back, I was like, oh, we really had a sense.
Could you imagine, like, creating something when you're 14, 15, and it still not only like standing up, but being amazing, where they're ripping themselves off 20 years later?
I loved hearing that story so much. I wish I had kept some of my high school stuff. Maybe I was actually Picasso and didn't realize it.
Let's go dig deep.
Let's go dig deep.
Let's go dust it off.
I don't think there's anything that exists from it. And you know what? I was not Picasso. Anyway, Tegan and Sara, they're fantastic. It was really, really a great chat. Hoping to put that uncut interview up on the BT website soon so people can check it out. The memoir, High School, is available now. And the album, Hey, I'm Just Like You, is also available.
Twinning! Super lovable. Super lovable, super talented.
By the way, it was Sara on the left and Tegan closest to me.
Got it.
In case you were wondering.
Thanks, Tara. We'll be back with more BT right after this.